Welcome to my tips for finals week 3 of the NRL. Last week we had no bets, so just a quick review on what we've done this season. We've had 40 tips, 31 of those have won, and we've made a profit of just over $6,000. But let's get into reviewing last week's uh, games. We had Canberra vs Sharks. Looking at the stats which came out of that game, Canberra had the slightly better stats, suggesting they should have won that game based on the ratings that I use, but the Sharks pretty much scored when they were given the opportunities. Canberra didn't. That was the difference in the game. The Sharks defended very well, which you need to do in finals because you need to stay in the game when you're under the pump, and then they were able to put the points on the board. So we did tip the Sharks to win that game based on the ratings going into the game. Uh, that was odds of $2.62, so not too bad there. And we did have Bulldogs versus Panthers. We had tipped the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs were pretty much outclassed throughout that game. Ratings from that game clearly had Panthers as the better team. So while we did have Bulldogs by 4, they were a very long shot in the odds. We had mentioned that this was probably a game where the ratings were wrong because of the Panthers having rested players previously, and the Panthers did go on to win that game. Okay, but we didn't have any bets out of those games because they were a bit too close. So let's have a look at this week's NRL Finals Week 3, which is the preliminary final games. We have the 4 teams which are left, which are Storm vs Sharks and Brisbane vs Panthers. Storm vs Sharks. The Storm have looked very good this year. They look very good at home. I know that they've moved the game due to the AFL Grand Final, so there's not a clash. And pretty much the odds on them are $1.41. I've got them predicted by, well, the ratings have them predicted to win by at least 18 points. Therefore, we will have a bet on the Storm at those odds of $1.41. I do think the Sharks probably the last 2 weeks have played amazing games, probably above what they played during the season. They've definitely stepped up in the finals, but I can't see them winning against the Storm at home with a grand final spot up for grabs. So the Storm are fairly clinical. Expect them to get through. I don't expect this to be a close game, but we will see what happens. Yeah, pretty much Storm all the way in this one. Now, the other game, Brisbane versus Panthers, the ratings have gone Brisbane. Again, I'm going to call out that the Panthers rested players, and some of those games feed into these ratings for this match. So it has Brisbane by 6. I've probably got this as more of a toss-up personally with the Panthers slightly favourites to win this. I believe the market has the favourites Panthers around $1. Must be $1 late, highest $1.70s, low $1.80s. Brisbane will be interesting. They can put in good games, but they can also put in shocking games. Now, being at home is going to be an advantage. The Panthers have had probably 2 of the easier runs into this game. They were expected, they were heavy favourites in both. And they're favourites again here, which they are playing very, very well. They definitely know how to play finals football. I believe they've won 15 finals games straight now, which is an amazing stat. So it will be interesting to see if Brisbane can get over the top of them. Look, out of the 4 teams, when it gets to the grand final, I probably prefer Storm to win the grand final out of the teams that are left. Don't think the Sharks have played well enough all year to be in the grand final. I don't think Brisbane has been consistent enough to really be the winners of the grand final. And Panthers, while they've had a late charge, they were pretty shocking early on in the season. Now, look, they were probably a top 4 team if the season started about round 5. They were probably the top team, if not in the top 4, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. But I do expect, personally, that the grand final will be Storm versus Panthers, but the ratings are suggesting it'll be Storm versus Brisbane. Okay, so are there any bets out of this game? I did mention earlier we'll have a bet on the Storm at $1.41 to win that match. Look, there's always a chance they lose that match, but unlikely at home against the Sharks team that have put in above average performances the last 2 weeks. It's hard to keep above average performances happening every week. Storm have had the rest. I just think there's enough there that the Storm do win this game. Regardless, we will still be, even if we lost this game, we're still looking at a fairly healthy profit and strike rate for the season. But looking to win a little bit here and then seeing how we go in the grand final, which who knows if we'll have a bet there. We'll have to see what the ratings come up with. But right now, looking pretty good on the Storm taking out their game against the Sharks. Okay, gonna leave it there. I do have a value bet in the AFL Grand Final. If you want to check that out, the video went up this morning. There's a bet here on the Storm, so enough bets to keep people interested in these games. The NFL bets will drop probably tomorrow morning, if not Friday morning Australian time, just to make sure they're up before the first game. There's we didn't have a winning round. This was the first week in the NFL where we had a slight loss, but expecting to bounce back from that in week 4. Okay, good luck if you're having a bet on the NRL. Good luck if your teams are still in the finals. If you on Storm or Brisbane, the ratings are favouring those teams winning. So hopefully, if they're your teams, they get through. And if you support the other teams, hopefully there can be a few upsets against the ratings and you can get through and play in a grand final. They're so hard to get to that there's a lot of pressure on the teams, and that can mean the games are very hard to win. A lot of energy can be sapped out of these teams. Okay, gonna leave it there. Good luck, and thanks for watching the video.